In Educational Information and Communication Technology presents Educational Satellite Television Programs.
Hello, teacher. Hello, students. Welcome to today's lesson on glycolysis. In our last lesson, we learned about ATP production in aerobic respiration. We also learned about the structure and function of the molecule NAD. In today's lesson, we are going to learn about the process of glycolysis. There are 4 stages of aerobic respiration of glucose: glycolysis, the link reaction, Krebs cycle, and electron transport and chemiosmosis. Glycolysis is the first stage. It takes place in the cytoplasm of the cell rather than the mitochondria because the glucose molecule cannot diffuse through the mitochondrial membranes. Also, there are no carrier proteins in the mitochondrial membrane needed to transport the glucose molecule through its membrane. The process of glycolysis converts glucose into a molecule that contains only 3 carbon atoms. This molecule is called pyruvate. The pyruvate enters mitochondria. The remaining stages take place inside the mitochondrion. Glycolysis can happen in the absence of oxygen and is the only energy-releasing process in anaerobic respiration. Students, let us review what we have just learned. Where does the process of glycolysis take place? Is it in the mitochondria, cristae, the cytoplasm, or the chloroplasts? Choose the correct answer.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello, everyone. If you chose C, cytoplasm, then you are correct. Good work. We will learn about the reactions that take place in glycolysis. In the first reaction, 2 molecules of ATP are used to phosphorylate a molecule of glucose. Students, do you remember the process of phosphorylation from our previous lesson? Take a moment to write down the definition.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. I am sure you were able to remember the definition. If you said that phosphorylation means adding 1 or 2 phosphate groups to a molecule, then you are correct. In the phosphorylation process, the glucose molecule is converted to another 6-carbon sugar, or fructose 1,6-biphosphate. In the next reaction, the fructose biphosphate is split into 2 molecules of the 3-carbon sugar glyceraldehydes 3-phosphate, called GP. Next, each molecule of GP is converted into pyruvate with the production of 2 molecules of ATP by substrate-level phosphorylation and 1 molecule of reduced NAD. Notice the image on the screen, students. The number of carbon atoms in the molecule is given by the figures in the brackets. 6C means 6 carbon atoms per molecule. Also, the 2 molecules of pyruvate are produced from 1 molecule of glucose. Students, to review what we have learned thus far, can you please write down at least 2 out of the 4 reactions that we have discussed that take place during glycolysis? You may begin now.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Welcome back, students. I am sure everyone was able to recall 2 of the reactions. The first reaction is between 2 molecules of ATP and a molecule of glucose. The second reaction is where glucose molecules are converted into another 6-carbon sugar molecule. The third reaction we talked about is that fructose 1,6-biphosphate is split into 2 molecules of GP. The last reaction is each molecule of GP is converted into pyruvate with the production of 2 molecules of ATP and 1 molecule of reduced NAD. If you correctly wrote down these reactions, then you answered correctly. Well done. At the end of the glycolysis, there is a net gain of 2 ATP molecules and 2 molecules of reduced NAD per molecule of glucose. The molecules of pyruvate move into the mitochondria through carrier molecules in the mitochondrial membrane. There are 10 steps in the process of glycolysis. In the first 3 steps, ATP is invested in the glucose molecules. This ATP will be recovered later in the 4th and 5th steps. This allows glucose to be split into smaller molecules in which energy can be harnessed efficiently. In the last 5 steps, energy is released step by step as ATP and NADH. The reaction ensures that the energy is released in small amounts that can be efficiently captured. Students, to recap what we have just learned about in the steps of glycolysis, can you explain what happens in the 10 steps? You may begin now.
Students, let's get ready. Begin. Time's up. Let's get back to our lesson.
Hello again, everyone. In the first 3 steps, ATP energy is invested into glucose molecules. Step 4 and 5 allow glucose to be split into smaller molecules. And in the last 5 steps, energy is released step by step as ATP and NAD. I am sure you were able to recall these steps. We have reached the end of our lesson for today, students. In this lesson, we learned about the process of glycolysis. We learned about the reaction that takes place in this process and its 10 different steps. We also learned that there is a gain of 2 ATP molecules in this process. Until next time, thank you, teacher. Thank you, students.